I'm Ron Jess for Jessfor30, and today we're in Brighton in the studio and have a great guest here, a really good guy everybody loves, former Red Wing Darren McCarty.
Honored to be here, Ron. Thanks
you
for having me.
I appreciate you coming up here and taking the time.
I love what you're doing. Just, a lot along the lines of the things we were talking about before. It's following a passion, having conversations. And what I love is the fact is you bring some what Michigan is really about, people in Michigan. So I'm honored to be a part of it. I self-proclaimed Detroit and Michigan's favorite stepson, so I'm not letting anybody take that away.
No, I mean, you're awesome. I right off, the first thing I had was thanks for working with the Wounded Warriors.
Yeah, no, I think that, a lot of it is, and anybody who doesn't know, is that Operation Valhalla, which my right-hand man, Nick Antonucci, is a former Army guy. So the fact that the military is so important, and, being an athlete and having the freedoms because of what these guys sacrifice to be able to entertain and stuff like that. And a lot of us who haven't served, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or not, right, that you want to always give back. So whether it's Wounded Warriors, whether it's, downtown with the veterans, to whatever it is, I'm always right there. The first thing is that if I can help, I want to, which, is something that leads to great things, right? Yeah. It leads to great things. So we're going to do, the Veterans Connected. I'm going to do my slapstick comedy right in Brighton here on Saturday and stuff like that. So, Ron, I don't know if you know this, but I always tell everybody that I'm a battery and the people are my power. So you're only doing me a favor that night, and also give back to veterans. And it's a great way. I try to take, everybody's life is so tough and decisions to be made, but if you see me doing something with veterans and you want to help out and be along, then just, there's going to be something fun attached to it.
Well, we'll be there with my wife, Michelle.
I love it.
Been married 44 years, I mentioned, and we'll be with Peter Janopoulos and Melissa. And
I absolutely love them. And like there, you bring up people that have been an integral part of, life here. Not, it has nothing to do with sports, but, Janopoulos, and whether it's Peter, his brother John, or Junior, and stuff like this. So it's always, that's what the family's all about. And to be able to come together and to be able to, support the veterans, it's a win-win for everybody.
It sure is. We had Jeff Jadwick lying here yesterday. We talked about him, and a guy named Tim Finnerty, and he's a legend in Brighton.
Absolutely.
Tim's son, Cullen, was a Denver Bronco and a Baltimore Raven quarterback. He won 3 championships at Grand Valley, and he passed away a few years back. And it was a tough way to go, but he was him and Drew Henson, yep. And really real legends. We've had a few Brighton guys here, Minox from Timeout Bar and Grill, and Clint Copenhaver, the '97 Michigan national champions.
Well, I think they're just bringing that, right? Which steps in is the community, and it's that's the one thing. It doesn't matter where you come from, but it takes a community to raise whatever athlete. And I think Brighton is known for a lot of different athletes, a lot of different sports, not just like, and I'll use an example, like if you're from Livonia or Westland, you're probably a hockey player, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're from Brighton, you could be one of many things. And I think it's a testament to the community, because that, like you said, is to remember a lot of those guys, and I remember, Drew Henson and stuff when I was playing, and how touted he was, the baseball and the football and stuff like this, athletes. And I think that's something that this Brighton area is proud of.
Well, we were at the Fox Theater last week with my 3 kids and their spouses, my wife, and we saw Tim Allen and another Michigan. Last 3 times, Tim Allen, Smokey Robinson, and Joe Rogan.
Oh, wow.
Those are good.
Pretty good hat trick. That sounds that's almost like that question is, hey, who do you want to be in your golf foursome? I mean, that's not a bad golf foursome either.
Yeah, Tim Allen was funny as hell.
Was he?
Well, he was happy because he could say shit here that he couldn't say in California where he lives.
Well, I assume that's something. Remember, I'm Canadian, so you know what? I'm just happy to be here. So I can play that seems like a left or right issue, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. That's good, because he was coming home, so he should be able to speak freely at home.
Yeah, he's not afraid, and he's a tough guy, and he's just funny. And it was great with the three kids because I asked them if they want to go to the Fox, and they said, "Yeah, let's go, Dad."
Well, how cool! Like, how cool is it now, right? Like, and when you're talking about that, so I have 6 kids, 2 stepkids, 4, but they're between 20 and 30. But now, as their lives are coming on, I just became a grandfather. My 25-year-old Emerson had Ryder Jeffrey, so first grandson and stuff. So their lives are, they're getting ready to all get married and do different things like that. But isn't that the cool part to be able to call them in? You're going to sort of hang out with them now and part of their lives and stuff, and to be able to enjoy it. And also like a Tim Allen, when you're talking about that, means something to our generation. As more of the comedian, and they might know him from Home Improvement and stuff like this or whatever else, but the fact it's a staple. And then Smokey Robinson, different things like that. I mean, those are just legends, and to me, culture's a huge thing. Where did you come from? What are you representing? Who came before you, carrying on and stuff. So
it is, and I think it's just great people doing great things, and it's where you came from, and maintaining and doing better all the time. This was a dream for me. The first one I did was at Brighton High School with he owned Timeout Bar and Grill. His name was Jeff Minnock.
Yeah.
He coached varsity football at Howell and Brighton, and Jeff's one of my best friends. He's just like we are.
Right.
He's got a foundation. It's called the Minnick Coaches Foundation in Howe, and they raise all kinds of money and give it out here. So.
And that's what it's all about. It goes back to the conversation. It's about the community, and these are to me, these are the people that people need to know about. So with what you're doing is like finding your lane, but I'd be interested on who's having success or who's influencing this next generation. In your area. So I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. And then the more you do, the more comfortable that you become doing it. Mm-hmm. Then it only opens up everything to everybody else.
Well, yeah, it's just where what you're about, and you can't. I don't think, especially sitting here, you can't fake it.
No, that's it. When it comes to me, I only got one speed. I told you before. I knew who D-Mac was when I was 6. It took me to 46. To realize who Darren was. But the one thing is I preach, anybody who knows me, is don't lie to the person in the mirror. Self-awareness is on point, and that's the one thing is I will always be true to myself, and genuine is something. I bring this up because remember back in the 90s with our Red Wings teams and the way that the city was, and we were all together, and it was genuine, the love, and to this day 27 years later I carry the same love of the people. Well, that's the genuineness that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions can't fake for a whole football Lions, which even more people are and everybody is, but it's because of the genuineness, and that's why it's real.
Yeah,
right?
I think
you and I can sit in a room and just say, I know somebody's full of shit from day one. So and that's taken time, but that's also too because I'll be 52 this year, so I would hope so.
If you don't got it now, you never will.
Well, it's almost like this, and you tell me. It's not that I know what I want; it's I absolutely know what I don't want.
Well, you look people in the eye when you talk to them. I'm in sales for 40-some years, and I can walk in. I say, we can read people in 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take an hour and a half. You decide whether you're going to be with them for 2 minutes or
and usually you tell me this is not wrong because if I'm square on point with myself, then I don't even have to pay attention, and my body will let me know, my radar will let me know if something's not right or whatever. One of the things, and if anybody knows my story, so I have 11/11 tattooed here on my forearm because it's my sobriety date, 11/11/15. So just over 8 years. Anybody who knows my journey, but the fact is that it's never too late, right? To make some sort of change and realize that I knew that that's not who I wanted to be, right? And it's okay. The biggest part about being genuine is I fucked up. I'm wrong.
You're right.
And it's so the minute, like, you don't have to be the coolest kid in camp all the time, but what you have to do is be accountable, right? And be accountable, and then you can do, like, when they manifest and do, like, I'm one of those people that you can't tell that you can't do what you want. It's about priority, because I manifested from my place, and anybody who doesn't know, Leamington, Ontario is where I grew up, which is give or take 10 minutes from the border. My house is 40 minutes to Joe Louis Arena.
Oh, okay. Probert was over in Windsor.
His house was
really?
half the distance. But I knew Proby since I was 14.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. We're from Essex County, so I always say it's the water over there, Essex County Fight Club. But it's the fact that we grew up so Detroit Americanized, you know, with our culture TV. I've been over, you know, I was at Olympia when I was in 77, 5 years old. In 84, I was Tiger Stadium when they won the World Series.
That was fun,
I mean, they
wasn't
were the Dead Wings before this last endeavor when I was growing up. So it was sort of easy, but it's about culture. And I think that the Michigan, Detroit, like, the best beauty about living here is it doesn't matter where you come from. You don't have to be born here, but if you have the mentality that go to work and treat the fellow with respect and stuff like this, then you'll be loved as much as anybody that was born here. That's the difference between traveling state to state to state, right? Is that, like, transplants are as much a part of the fabric in this state and accepted as, you know, anywhere in that, from my experience in this country. And that's a beautiful thing.
It really is.
I mean, I tell this Gordie House stories that my first year we're skating. It's 93, and we're skating out in Troy, and he's doing a appearance something or commercial something after practice, I don't know. But he steps out on the ice, and he's got one of his Northland wood sticks. Okay, now, how do I relate this? A stick that Gordie Howe used to a stick that would be used today is probably no word of a lie. That stick's probably 5 pounds, and this stick's probably a pound.
Okay.
Right? There's no curve on it. Right? It's just like a log. Like you would, right? He's shooting pucks from the blue line, curving them like a draw with a driver and a fade like a driver. He can make the puck go like this, and the puck go like that, and up and down. It was the most unbelievable thing. And he did it with a straight wood stick.
Wow.
Crazy.
So fast forward today, you got Stevie Wise. Really, he's working his magic with the Red Wings. They're, you know, I look January. They had their best month in 14 years.
Hey, one. I do Woodward Sports, Big D Energy, Tuesday to Wednesday, Thursday, 11 to 1, every week. And if you hear me when it comes to the Red Wings, #WiserPlan1919. Who else do you want in charge? He knows what's best. He's going to give us everything we want, not when we want it, when he thinks we're ready for it. I mean, there's no word of a lie. You look at the changes that he's made in the development. Now he's going out and making trades for Alex DeBrincat and signing like a Patrick Kane, and they can score. Now it's about keeping the puck out of the net and finding that goalie. I don't think that goalie's still here yet. Alex Lyon, hats off to him for coming in and stabilizing and being that number one. To, like you said, stats don't lie, but they got to continue it. So they've set themselves up for success, making the playoffs. I think that would be a huge success, but I thought that they should get there this year. Anyways, East is tough. I always tell everybody is look at the difference between you and the team behind you. I know you're always supposed to be looking ahead, but in this case, and that's why it's imperative in these 3-point games where you get 2 points for a win and 1 point if you go to overtime or lose in overtime and stuff like this. It changes. Remember back in our day, it would be, okay, I get ahead and they got to play each other. Somebody's going to lose, somebody's going to win, but only, you know what I mean? And it evens out. Well, now they sort of can tick you up. You need somebody to lose in regulation in order to make a difference. So the only way that you can control that is to control your own destiny. So they're ahead of the pace that they need for the playoffs, and they got to continue to do that. And I think they will as they get healthier. The thing that I love is the fact that Billy Husso's getting healthy, and the knock against him is he can't play a full season. Well, he hasn't played much the first half, so he's going to be he's going to be ready for the second half if he's needed. So to me, that's positive. So I like what they've done. I trust Stevie's always right, bro.
Well, you played with
Stevie's
him.
always right. And just
what he did in Florida, right?
Right. Well, that's where the Florida is where he went to get his master's, and you can judge him on what he is as a GM. Right? Being a player has nothing to do with you being a coach or a GM, but Steve Yzerman has proved. And the one thing is, if you look deeper, why is it taking him that extra couple years? Because the books were so messed up. And in a salary cap era, you got to get the books right first. He finally did that. Now he's able to go out. And I believe, too, he's also started to make this a destination place like it used to be in the 90s where guys want to play here.
Well, so Lions just went through the same thing. We had the Michigan football. Did you get?
Oh, absolutely. That was awesome
fun,
because they, shut everybody. They went through the gauntlet and did everything that they needed to do, and they were questioned until you couldn't question them anymore. Mm-hmm. And I have no problem. Like all those things about the facts is you only had half a title since tonight. But now you know what? You put that to bed. You went through Alabama, which is you went through the gauntlet. The best thing for you was to play Alabama instead of Florida State because the questions still would have been lingering around. Just lingering around about you didn't do it, Connor Stallions, this and that, you cheat. No, there's no question on whatever else. Now you look at it, Harbaugh right off into the sunset, go back and try to do his, but I think you're in great hands with Sherrod Moore. I think he's well respected inside that locker room, and what did we see with our Dan Campbell guy, more of like a player's coach. I see Sherrod more of a Dan Campbell than I do a Jim Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. But I think he's earned that opportunity. I think that really, if you're a Michigan fan, I'm the only thing that the only thing you're sour is that if you knew you were gonna leave earlier, so we could have maybe got in on the transfers, or whatever everybody's complaining about. But other than that, I think it's good. I hope Jim Harbaugh is the answer for Justin Herbert.
Everybody's gonna bitch anyway, and we went.
But you got a title, bro. Who cares?
Yeah. We Darren, my brother and I, my wife, we drove out to Happy Valley to Penn State, and we get there. We spent some night with some great people. They just treated us awesome.
I love it.
So we're there with these Pennsylvania. They're no different than Ohio or Michigan. We're all blue collar Midwest. So we get there and we go out to the game in the morning, and all of a sudden, the word is Harbaugh can't coach because this Harvard commissioner of the Big Ten is all of a sudden going to make a name for himself. Cut out Harbaugh. He can't coach today. To me, that changed the whole season. The players said, "Excuse me, really?"
Well, you need to fight like they fought. I always say, and look into any team, right? When the person next to you is more important than you are to yourself, you have a chance to win. And that, you're telling me, that's the gravitas moment where they pulled together, whether it was because of the coach, whether it was disrespect, whether it was Michigan versus everybody, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what that narrative is as long as everybody in that team believes it. And they did. Yeah. And what they do, they went out and they proved it. Yeah. And they showed it, right? And I was hoping that what happened as far as Donovan Edwards. You knew he had to have a breakout game at some point in the season, right? Yeah. Saved it for the best time.
My son bought us tickets a year before, so they're playing in Columbus. He said, "Dad, where are we going to watch the game?" I said, "Well, Jeremy, we're going to be in the garage at the big screen with the fridge and like we do every year with the heater, and we're just you and me." He says, "Not this year." He says, "I've got tickets in Columbus." I said, "Oh, let's go there." And they kicked their ass. And Donovan Edwards he ran right at us. The second time he ran at us, we were hugging, and it felt like my dad. We'd go to the Michigan games. Yep. We're giving, "Hey, Jeremy, hey, Dad," and he's really competitive, and we were up in it was great.
But that's the best part. Whether you're a Michigan fan and got to share through the trials and tribulations of whatever through the light, the same as what the Lions fans. How many stories do we hear of people that have passed and wasn't a part of it? I think that, every year when we think about like championships and stuff like that, it's about the people, who have passed on that enjoyed it and some of the memories in that. So you can't change that. You're talking about things you share with your dad and you now share with your son. That's priceless shit.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
You can't. There's no currency in the world that can replace that.
No.
And that's the authentic genuineness, and I think that's what sports can bring to everybody.
Have you ever had pizza over at Mamma Mia's at Grand River and Beach? My buddy owns it, Mike, and his dad.
I don't believe I have.
It's really good. It's really,
I'm always down to try it.
Grand River and Beach.
Pizza.
It's 30 minutes. If you we go right out on the street here and you head Grand River, you can take it right down 30 minutes. My buddy's I get a couple of sponsors.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention him, and
absolutely,
they're really nice people, and the dad, and they have their food's phenomenal.
Mamma Mia's, check it out, guys. You heard it here. Check out Mamma Mia's. Go get that za.
One last one is Tim Kaczynski. We did one for him, and I did one of these at his home in Nova. His neighbor, a couple doors down, would come down and get food and lemonade in the summertime. It was Lindstrom's family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they lived in Novi?
Yeah. And Tim Kaczynski, he's done 10 of my implants I mentioned earlier.
I love it.
So, and he's a really nice guy. And all these guys talk about painless dentistry. This dude is painless. He's done 4,200 implants. He's taught 60,000 dentists around the country. He's gone 45 weekends of a year. And he's the Red Wings and Detroit Catholic Central's dentist for the priests. The priests come in.
Well, they got to look good for service. I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Shout out to Doc Kaczynski.
Yeah, he's a good man. And your kids and their success.
Yeah, no, so like I said, my two stepkids, Nichelle and Brendan, live here in Michigan. We mentioned they're up in Clare area where their mother's from.
Cops and Donuts.
Cops and Donuts, stop in. Absolute apple fritter, the size of my head, the cherry apple fritter.
Really?
You ever had that? Oh,
no.
It's to die for. And the Beechwood, I think it's called, which is as much to give you. They'll give you diabetes.
Like that little hamburger joint right next to it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you ate there.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't even know if they're open anymore. We don't really go to Clare, but
no, we usually end up at Ruckles or Bob's or something like that. You mentioned you've been to the Doherty. I met my wife back in 2010 at the Doherty at their St. Patty's Day party. But my son Griffin, who's 27, who's, if you see pictures back in 2002 with the kid on my shoulders with the cup, he ended up he went to Canada to play junior, ran into concussion problems, but got himself in school, graduated from UCLA, set all their club records, and is coaching their Division II club team at UCLA. My daughter, who just made me a grandfather, runs 5 Marine layers. My 23-year-old Avery goes to UC Berkeley, and the baby Grayson just graduated from high school and stuff. So they're out in California.
They make you proud, eh?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They, they grew up in the area, in the Birmingham, West Bloomfield area, and went to St. Regis and Seaholm and Country Day and stuff like this. But it's cool to see, because now they're all, like I said, probably 3 of them will be married off in the next year or 2 years. So it's that time.
Yeah, that's
right. It just gets you to realize that I might not feel or think I'm as old, but yeah, we're old, bro.
Yeah, I know.
We're now our parents or our uncles or anything like that. So it's just, and that's fine with me.
My thing is, people say, well, Ron and Michelle, you guys went to high school together at St. Agatha, Redford, 2 minutes from Mamma Mia's, and, it's just where we grew up. But they say, well, how do you do it? I said, you got to have faith in God first, and then after that, you got to have fun. And we've had fun, whether we were drinking back in the day, big time, the Jack Daniels,
right,
or
not.
9 months ago without it. Man, I convinced myself at night one time in my garage. I was sitting there, and my wife she'd have a rum and coke, and I'm going, my head's going, Ron, you want to start these? You want to be able to do these? And you know what? I was telling myself, there's no way you can do these. You're not here. You're tired the next day. You're cloudy. You're not, and you know the clarity you get.
Well, it is, and it allows you to reprioritize, right? To prioritize, to go after what your passion is. I firmly believe, like, I do so many different things. Why is that? Because no matter what I do, I will push the hardest. So I need to move on to other things as all my people catch up, right? But I love it. I love people and everything that I do. And it's whether I'm doing all the stuff that has nothing to do with the players on the ice, but it has everything to do with the culture and the stands and the Red Wings and the season tickets and the charity stuff. That's all about me. The comedy tour, the band, the cannabis brand, the Woodward Sports, the wrestling, whatever it is.
Comics.
The comics, yeah, the graphic novel, whatever it is. I'm always willing to try different things and get involved with different things and follow passion.
How about your mom and dad when you were growing up? Close to your parents?
Yeah, they
Your
were the
brothers,
driving
sisters?
force. My stepdad, that's 5 years old, which anybody who doesn't know, my birth name's Darren Douglas McCarty. But when I was 5, I changed my last name to McCarty. I was adopted by my stepfather. He passed away in 99, but he was able to see us win 97, 98, and stuff like that. I had the McCarty Cancer Foundation for multiple myeloma back in the day. That we were, so his motto was, this is 96, he was diagnosed, he passed away in 99, but we were able to help co-fund close to $6 million. And his motto was that you were not going to be able to save my dad, but we'll be able to save somebody's dad. So to this day, today, and this was as of probably 5 years ago, that if you were diagnosed with multiple myeloma, they have the medication that you can live out your life. So that's something that, and him and you know, my mom actually is we were just talking about this yesterday, because my mom's the hockey player in the family that got us done. And now that my niece, who's a 8U over in Canada playing on an 11U team, where we were telling her the story that no, it's not any of the grandpas or anything like that. It's your grandmother that is the hockey influence in the family. So hockey mom to the nth degree. And the support that I got from my parents, and the rule was I was allowed to do whatever I wanted. But I had to give everything. The minute my dad, the minute that you're wasting my time, you'll never do it again.
What did he do for a living?
He was air conditioning, refrigeration. Owned his own E&B air conditioning, and that's when I learned that I had a job that you couldn't quit and you couldn't get fired from. So my motivation, because I've been digging holes and running duct and in all those old homes that could only a 12-year-old get under and stuff like that. Yeah, that was my job. That was my motivation to play hockey. And you'd think that fighting a guy twice the size of myself was harder than it was like doing that stuff. No. Punch me in the face all day, bro. It beats digging holes for, you know, those AC vents and stuff. That was just it. I always used to tell him, dude, if you pass away and leave me that company, I'm selling it the next day. But it was awesome. My motivation. That was I never wanted, because it was one of those things that go find your way, or else this is what you'll be doing the rest of your life. And that was a no sale there, baby.
You, the Red Wing plane, what did that mean? I had heard somewhere that was a big deal for you guys.
Redbird 1 and Redbird 2, because at the time you were one of the only teams that had your own plane. A lot of teams chartered, but to have your own plane. And the biggest thing was, and a lot of us were young parents, is the fact that you would be back in your bed by 2 o'clock in the morning, so you could be up, whether you had newborns to do night feeding, or you could take the kids to school or whatever. Yeah, we used to always, about 5 or 6 of us would always, see each other in car line, dropping the kids off. So you'd always know like who was going to be the one. Like, oh, I got time because he's behind me, right?
Yeah.
You never want to be the last one, or you'd be looking to see whose kids were in the class. Oh, damn, I'm the last one. I better hurry up down the lodge. But the plane and the food. And here's a little note. Because of having your own plane, and we shared it with the Tigers too at times, but it was more seasonal. But at the back, Chelly and I used to sit beside each other, and we had a table. But the pilots put my seat so it would absolutely almost go flat down. So I'd get on the plane first. I'd eat. I'd be buried, ready to go to sleep. Next thing you know, you'd wake up 4 hours later, and it was perfect. It was great. It was like flying better than first class.
You were lucky you got to play for Mr. Ilitch. I remember his second Little Caesars on the planet. They had the Westland, the Redford one at $7,000 shopping center. So I'm like 13, making 25 cents an hour, 40 cents an hour. And my three sisters worked there. Well, they had a window and we're flipping the pizzas and making pizzas in the second one ever. But
that's awesome.
The guy was great, though. Wasn't he a nice man and a tough guy? Right?
Yeah, but when we say like you were part of the Ilitch family, like extended part, you felt like another son. I honestly did. Excuse me, Mr. Ilitch used to call me Rocky because I was his Rocky. So every time he'd see, I'd usually have stitches or something like that. So I absolutely loved him and Mrs. Ilitch.
Do you know Mike Jr.?
Oh, yeah.
I was down in Florida. We were at Naples, and I had riding a bike. We rent a bike and had a tiger hat on, and I was riding up, and Mike Jr. comes up. He sees me. He sees the tiger hat. I don't know who he is. It was the buddy. He says, I'm doing these movies, and they're Christian movies, and, I'm doing this and that. And he goes, oh, tiger hat, what do you think of them? I said, really, they stink right now,
True.
No, I mean, hey, you're going to get it whether you're...
I'm calling it like I see it.
I love
Don't ask me a question if you don't want the answer. That's what I always say.
He did, but he got a good laugh. He says, he goes, what's your name? I go, hey, Ron Jess. And I'm Mike Ilitch Jr.
Yeah.
that was funny, Darren.
It is
He
funny.
bought my haircut. I went and got a haircut, and I didn't have cash. And I was going. He goes, where are you going? And I said, I got to go get him some cash. He goes, oh, here we pay for it.
Nice.
He got a good laugh out of it.
Well, dude, because you know what? He's doing his part for making you watch bad baseball.
We gotta just say right now the Claude Lemieux at March 26th. I don't know if you're tired of talking. If you wanted,
absolutely not. March 26th, 1997, Red Wing D-Day, or as I call it, Fight Night at the Joe, Sweet Revenge, whatever you want to call it. Actually, I'll go into it in elaborate depth on Saturday during the comedy show. I will go into elaborate, but
yeah.
To me, and why do I call it Red Wing D-Day, for lack of a better term, is because I can narrate before and after, and the biggest part of that, what I tell everybody is the biggest point of why it happened, and take everybody who doesn't know. My first year was 93, 94. We win the President's Trophy, which is the best record in the league, and losing the first round. Come back, lockout year, half a season, losing the finals. To New Jersey, come back, set the league record, lose to Colorado. In Game 6 of the Colorado game, Claude Lemieux, the most hated man in the league by everybody because he is known to be cheap shot and dirty and chicken shit and great player, but just cheap. Hits Chris Draper, my centerman, from behind, right in front of me, breaks his jaw in 4 spots and crushes his orbital bone. And, it's one of these cases that in life and sports, bad things happen, but you can't lose respect for a fellow human being. Claude Lemieux said, screw Chris Draper. You never would have heard of him. I'm not sorry. March 26th comes around the next year. And I'll get into more intricacies before that, but it just so happened. And remember what I was alluding to earlier about it not only takes guts, but sometimes the elders to lead the way in making changes, legacy changes. Yeah. Igor Lariana, about 5'6", 145 pounds soaking wet, has had enough with Peter Forsberg. They start swinging. I'm on the ice. I know Lemieux's there. Foot grabs me. Shandy breaks me loose. I cold cock him, and boom. Next thing, it's on. So not only do we get revenge on Lemieux, but we tie the game, and I score the overtime winner. So I slay the dragon, got the girl. And at the moment, after I scored that goal behind the net, it was not in the building, in the city, in the state, in the country, in the world, in the universe, wherever there's a Red Wing fan, it was a proverbial, it's going to be all right. Don't know what it means, but it's going to be all right. To your point, that was our Penn State moment. There's got to be moments, and there's got to be, because that galvanized us, that told everybody that we weren't too European, we weren't too Russian, we weren't too soft, we were team tough. Mm-hmm. And there was something there. And why is that important? Because 3 months later, we ended up beating them in the conference finals and then winning our first cup and going back to back.
Well, that's why the Canadians, everywhere I go on, when I go on vacation, wherever I run into, we get along right away. I start talking, and all of a sudden comes up. We grew up 45 minutes from Canada, and I'll say, "Hey, and they, you Canadian?" I go, "No, you are." And I love them all.
Absolutely,
I do. Yeah, do you know T.J. Hensick? He was with Colorado. He played with all those guys. He's a Howell guy.
See, there you go, another guy.
Yeah. He was probably one of Michigan's best players, U of M. And
yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, but I think we're good unless there's something that you want to cover other than the Wounded Warriors.
No, I mean I look forward to it. I think that you know what, it's just an honor and to have you reach out and want me to be part of what you're building here and a part of the community and stuff. And I really look forward to whoever's coming out Saturday night and even in the future. You know, there's a lot of different things that do community-wise. I know, I don't know when this is coming out, but, you know, they got Combat One Wrestling at the community center. I'll be involved with WWE star Matt Riddle. That's tomorrow, Thursday.
Pinckney,
what's that?
Is that in Pinckney or where's that?
Wherever the community center is down the road somewhere.
Yeah, I think it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Pinckney? Okay. Yeah. You got to remember we're over on we're on the west side, right? Because there's certain ways that I look at the state as different sort of territories and stuff like that, and it's always love to go into them and love to see people take care of their own. So I thank you, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Oh, Darren, hey, thanks a lot. And I'd just like to end it. I've got a couple gifts for you.
Oh yeah, right on.
Yeah. So,
I like gifts.
Okay.
I ain't got to say no.
I didn't think you would. Isn't it your birthday today or something?
Well, I mean, I would think it is. I mean, that's an old school Michigan tradition bumpy cake right there, isn't it?
It
That's
is.
like a super bumpy cake. Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, yeah.
If you know me, I will absolutely devour that.
Well, before you touch that, I've got one other thing.
Oh! Are those? Is this?
I make
your mate? Yeah.
You gotta try one.
Oh, absolutely. I'm big on it.
You're the best, man.
I'm big. Anything that.
Yeah, we go to Eastern Market, and I've been doing them for 20 years. So you got to rate it 1 to 10.
Okay.
Garlic dill.
Love the crunch. Crunch is important. Doesn't soft it out. Gives a nice subtle. I would say for somebody like me, there isn't a big dilly guy. This has the perfect amount. It's the crunch that I'm a big fan. Like it's like anything else. My number one thing is what's the crunch, right? And then I'll let the flavor whatever. But it's absolutely they're perfect. They're brilliant. Whatever your combination or figured out whatever your mixture is or whatever time wise, how to do like whatever you're burping it, whatever all that stuff. Yeah, dude.
You like them.
Listen.
You're the best. Yeah, that's great. It's so much.
That crunch is so good.
So much fun having you around there.
Ron wasn't sure if I was pregnant or not, so he wanted to make sure that he had the chocolate and the... Wait a sec. I think maybe he thinks I'm pregnant, Boogie. Those are phenomenal. You'll like those. And they're healthy.
I could... You're like my best friend.
Your new best friend.